Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Ephesians chapter 5, verses 15, 16, 19, and 20. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil, speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Adonai, giving thanks always for all things unto Elohim and the Father, in the name of our Adonai, Yahshua the Mashiach.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today: every day is a day of thanksgiving.
all around me, fighting Satan's descending powers that never cease from trying to tear me down. But I just lift my hands to glory, believing in YAH's redemption story. I'm thanking him for his saving grace. YAH gives me power just to run this race every day.
Every day is a day of thanksgiving. God's been so good to me. Every day he's blessing me. Every day is a day of thanksgiving. Take the time to glorify Yahweh today.
Yes, there's pressures all around me, fighting Satan's descending power that never cease from trying to tear me down. But I just lift my hands to glory, believing in YAH's redemption story. I'm thanking him for his saving grace. YAH gives me power just to run this race every day.
Every day is a day of thanksgiving. God's been so good to me. Every day he's blessing me. Every day is a day of thanksgiving. Take the time to glorify Yahweh today. He keeps blessing me,
I'm talking over and over.
blessing me.
Blessing.
He opened the door that I might see. He's blessing me.
Blessing.
He keeps blessing me,
I'm talking over and over.
blessing me.
Blessing.
Take the time to glorify Yahweh today. He keeps blessing me,
I'm talking over and over.
blessing me.
Blessing.
He opened the door that I might see. He's blessing me.
Blessing.
He keeps blessing me,
I'm talking over and over.
blessing me.
Blessing.
Take the time to glorify Yahweh today. Every day is a day of thanksgiving. Yah's been so good to me. Every day he's blessing me. Every day is a day of thanksgiving. Take the time to glorify Yahweh. Take the time to glorify Yahweh. Take the time to glorify Yahweh today.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in this body of Yahshua. Today we're going to deal with images and idols and what does that do as it pertains to the jealousy of Yahweh. We never really consider that when we are given something, that gift could become an idol in our own hearts. We must always maintain the thought process that we can never love the gift more than we love the gift giver. Abraham was given a son in his old age. Then Yahweh turned around and said, sacrifice this very son. This might seem unfair, but when you consider the walk of Abraham before, Abraham worshiped idols before. Abraham did all kind of other things before. We just don't like to deal with that. Part of the separation from him and his father was that his father was very strong into worshiping idols. But as we go through, we're going to see how Abraham partook in some of that idol worship as well. So Yahweh is making a distinction when he does give you something, whether or not it may be something that you have asked for all your life, and you finally get that thing. You have to make sure that that thing will never override who gave you the thing. Let's begin today's sermon in Exodus chapter 20. And today's sermon is entitled Images, Idols, and the Jealousy of Yah. Images, idols, and the jealousy of Yah.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 1. And Elohim spake all these words, saying, I am Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make unto you any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
So the first thing he says out the gate is, you shall have no other gods before me. But the very next thing after that is, you shall not make unto you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Now, these are all things, these are all elements that make up the place where you reside. You are not allowed to use any of that to design an image that you're going to then worship and then put that before me. So it's pretty important for Yahweh for it to be the second thing to come out of his mouth. Second only to worshiping something other than him. So then this then becomes pretty important. Go ahead.
Verse 5. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am a jealous Elohim.
Now, there's a path, though, to get to this. Before you can bow down yourself to the graven image, you first had to design one. So he's making it that you're already in sin from the minute you design it. Not once you decide to bow down to it. Now, here's where things get interesting, because the adversary will make sure that we somehow feel innocent in the design of our image. So if he can make you feel innocent while you're designing it, you don't really feel as if you're in sin at that moment. Go ahead.
Visiting the lawlessness of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of Yahweh your Elohim in vain.
Now wait a minute. He dealt with the images before he dealt with his name. He first said, you shall not worship any other gods before me. Then he went to the images. Then he comes back to him. Now, why he didn't say me, my name, then images? Go ahead.
For Yahweh your Elohim will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain.
So then we're going to have to deal with that part. Let's deal with the vain part now. Let's go, brother, I want you to read the definition for vain for me.
Vain, strong, shav, for the same as H7722 in the sense of desolating, evil, as destructive, literally ruin, or morally, especially guile, figuratively idolatry, as false, subjectively uselessness.
Uselessness. So if we use his name in vain, then there's some uselessness contained in how we're dealing with it. So you can use his name in vain in a multitude of ways. If you are then making it useless, that means you made it equal unto some lower things. Go ahead.
As deceptive, objectively, also adverbially in vain, false, falsely, lie, lying, vain, vanity.
All right. Now, to try to get a little bit of that, when we say something like using the name in vain, I want you to read the definition of the name Jeremiah, Jeremiah.
From H3414, Yirmiyah, Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah equals whom Yah has appointed.
So a name has a definition. A name means something. All right? So now let's go to Leviticus chapter 24. Leviticus 24, and I want to read verses 10 through 16.
And the son of an Israelitish woman whose father was an Egyptian.
All right, the son of an Israelitish woman whose father was an Egyptian. So we already know where he gets the disdain for Yahweh from. See, we like to believe that we can go out in the earth and deal with anything that we want, and somehow everything just gonna work out. His father was an Egyptian. His father operated how he wanted to operate, so he learned some disdain against Yahweh. Go ahead.
You know, even brother, when we look at how they describe her Israelite
Tish.
went out among the children of Israel, and this son of the Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp.
It's interesting how they separate her from them. Mm-hmm. Right? Right. Well, I mean, she Israelite-like. Go ahead.
And the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of Yahweh and cursed. And they brought him unto Moshe. And his mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Dibri of the tribe of Dan.
Right. So then when these two individuals strove, then what one of them decided they were going to use is, I'm going to go against the name of your God. I'm going to use the name of your God to speak some indignation toward you. Now that goes both ways. When we say that we are Israel and we go out and mishandle ourselves, guess what? The indignation is gone, is placed upon Yahweh. Oh, it worked both ways. It ain't just working just this way. So the person has a problem with that individual, they blaspheme the name of their God. Go ahead.
And they put him in ward that the mind of Yahweh might be showed them. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Bring forth him that has cursed without the camp, and let all that heard him lay their hands upon his head, and let all the congregation stone him. And you shall speak unto the children of Israel, saying, Whosoever curses his El shall bear his sin. And he that blasphemes the name of Yahweh, he shall surely be put to death. And all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well the stranger, as he that is born in the land, when he blasphemes the name of Yahweh, shall be put to death.
All right. Now, sometimes we have accidentally blasphemed the name of Yahweh. So when we name ourselves with an amalgamation of our name and his name, such as Pookie Yah or Clifford Yah, we have blasphemed his holy name by making it equal unto ours. Names have meaning. So I challenge anybody to tell me, what the hell does Pookie Yah mean? I literally cannot enter into a conversation because I'm not going to make my God's name equal unto Pookie. We not finna have this conversation. My elder said a long time ago, they called this guy Yahweh ben Yahweh. My elder said, I ain't calling no other man Yahweh. He said, you talking about Hulon Mitchell? I said, what? He said, you talking about Hulon? I said, who is Hulon? He said, that dude that they call YBY. He said, I ain't never calling no man Yahweh. He said, it ain't never going to happen. So when we consider what names mean, because understand, when we go into Jeremiah, there is Yahweh's name, and then the rest is a statement. His name is Yah. All right? Yah is his name. Anything after that is a statement that's being made. So when you say Pookie Yah, what is the statement involved in Pookie? I know what Yah mean. When you decide to say Clifford Yah, what the hell is Clifford? What part does that have with Yahweh? Now we're talking about you have used your Elohim's name in vain by attaching it to yours. See, there's so many things that we may end up doing and not knowing because we had always been told if you said damn after saying God, you done used the name in vain. God wasn't his name. God is a title. So the adversary was real slick. He actually has us blaspheming the name while thinking that something else was blaspheming the name. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 52. I wish I would have walked up to my elder and told him my name was going to be Alipatya. It was him that said, man, you're going to have to pick a name. I can't keep calling you there. Isaiah 52, let's read verses 1 through 6.
Awake, awake. Put on your strength, O Zion. Put on your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into you the uncircumcised and the unclean. Shake yourselves from the dust. Arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose yourself from the bands of your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For thus says Yahweh, you have sold yourselves for naught, and you shall be redeemed without money. For thus says the Adonai Yahweh, my people went down aforetime into Egypt to sojourn there, and the Assyrian oppressed them without cause. Now therefore, what have I here? Says Yahweh, that my people is taken away for naught. They that rule over them make them to howl, says Yahweh, and my name continually every day is blasphemed. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that does speak. Behold, it is I.
Therefore my people shall know my name. Have you paid attention to how many instances now we are hearing the name of Yahweh come from people who would never have said it before? All of a sudden, it's something that's regularly used in Christian circles. That name wasn't allowed to be said a decade ago. Why all of a sudden now this name is being heard? They didn't just now figure out this name. These people went to seminary school. They got a degree on the wall. You ain't went to seminary school and ain't heard the names of Yahweh and Yahshua. They done known these names for 30, 40 years. Why they start using them yesterday? In Hosea 2 and 17, it says, for I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. They still use the name of Baal. Baal is Lord. So at the same time they'll say Yahweh, they're going to say, watch. They're going to say Jesus right behind it. But the step one is that they're using his name. The next thing, he finna take that other name out their mouth. But they holding on to that name because they said there's power in that name. So they're scared to let it go. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 16. And the adversary not just going to stand by and just keep letting you call somebody else's name in here. How? So it's going to be some fireworks if they keep doing it. He know why he got all them sun symbols in there. They don't know why. He know why. Deuteronomy chapter 16, and let's start at verse 18.
Judges and officers shall you make you in all your gates, which Yahweh your Elohim gives you throughout your tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. You shall not wrest judgment. You shall not respect persons. Neither take a gift, for a gift does blind the eyes. For a gift does blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous.
So if you have judges and officers that are in all of the gates, this is a very difficult job. Then it says, you shall not wrest judgment. That has caused judgment to decline. You shall not respect persons. Well, this is my partner. So no. Your partner got to go outside too. Well, this is my baby boo. Baby boo got to go outside too. Ain't no different set of rules for baby boo. Go ahead.
That which is altogether just shall you follow, that you may live and inherit the land which Yahweh your Elohim gives you. You shall not plant you a grove of any trees near unto the altar of Yahweh your Elohim, which you shall make you.
So, Yahweh know what they doing with these trees. Understand something? Yahweh made the tree. Yahweh made the tree to grow out of the same earth that he brought you out of. How you going to have an issue with that? He said, oh, no, the tree ain't the problem. It's what you do with the tree. That's what the problem is. So, don't plant no grove of trees near my altar. Cause I know y'all. Go ahead.
Neither shall you set you up any image which Yahweh your Elohim hates.
Neither shall you set up any image which Yahweh your Elohim hates. So we're starting to draw some lines there. Let's go to Judges chapter 6. He said, you shall set you up judges. And those judges have a difficult job to do. Because everybody want to be cool with you when you're saying something nice. But when you have to discipline someone, oh, now you're not Mr. Popular then. You ain't gonna get prom king this way. Judges chapter 6, start at verse 11.
And there came an angel of Yahweh, and sat under an oak which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto YAH the Abizarite, and his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of Yahweh appeared unto him, and said unto him, Yahweh is with you, you mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Adonai, if Yahweh be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of, saying, did not Yahweh bring us up from Egypt? But now Yahweh has forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites.
Now, you see the things that we focus on? You know, if Yahweh be with us, then why are we going through all this? Oh, you thought Yahweh was going to be with you while you were still serving idols. You don't connect your false worship to your condition. You just think that you just happen to end up like that. Why we going through this? You know they ain't got nothing to do with what y'all been doing. Boy, we something else. Go ahead.
And Yahweh looked upon him and said, go in this your might, and you shall save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent you? And he said unto him, Oh, my Adonai, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. And Yahweh said unto him, Surely I'll be with you, and you shall smite the Midianites as one man. And he said unto him, If now I have found grace in your sight, then show me a sign that you talk with me. Depart not hence, I pray you, until I come unto you, and bring forth my present, and set it before you. And he said, I'll tarry until you come again. And Gideon went in, and made ready a kid, and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour.
He said, I will go make a prayer. Now that I understand who you are and what you are, I need to present an offering. Stay right here. Let me go take care of this business. I wasn't prepared. It ain't like somebody told me that an angel of Yah was going to show up. But now that I know you here, pause. Let me go take care of this business. Go ahead.
The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it. And the angel of Elohim said unto him, Take the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of Yahweh put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and there rose up fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of Yahweh departed out of his sight. And when Gideon perceived that he was an angel of Yahweh, Gideon said, Alas, O Adonai, for because I have seen an angel of Yahweh face to face. And Yahweh said unto him, Peace be unto you, fear not, you shall not die. Then Gideon built an altar there unto Yahweh, and called it Yahweh Shalom. Unto this day it is yet in Ophrah of the Abizarites. And it came to pass the same night the Yahweh said unto him, Take your father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down the altar of Baal that your father has, and cut down the grove that is by it.
Now wait a minute. Now you causing some issues. Now go get your daddy's stuff and throw down your daddy's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And build an altar unto Yahweh your Elohim upon the top of this rock, in the ordered place, and take the second bullock, and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the grove which you shall cut down.
Wait a minute. So cut down the grove, set the fire with that wood. Get your daddy bullock. Hey, man. Hey. See, some of us need to be happy with the things that Yahweh has asked you to do. What he asked you to do? Hey, man, stand up right. Walk up right. Present yourself right. Go to work, come home. He ain't asked you, now go take this man. If you take his bullock, all right, let's put it in the day. Go over there and get the key. Take your daddy Lexus, the second one. Now take your daddy Lexus. Now go down now. You know that house he got down there? Now I need you to knock down the pillars of the house. All right? Take the wood off the front of the house with that wood. Now I don't need to put the wood in the Lexus. All right? Put the wood in the Lexus. Bring that wood and that Lexus. Set the Lexus on fire with the wood that you got from his house. And you think he asked you to do something difficult? Read, priest.
Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants, and did as Yahweh had said unto him. And so it was, because he feared his father's household and the men of the city, that he could not do it by day, that he did it by night.
Everybody steal the Lexus at night. And very few people steal the Lexus during the day. Go ahead.
And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down.
Wait a minute though, man. But hold on. But Yahweh asked you to take this though. Hey man, that was somebody else's stuff. Yahweh said, go take it. Here's the problem. All these people on here earth. So the stuff that we all say is ours is still here. So we said, you know what? He told me to go in there and steal such and such. No, he can't. He told you to go over there and repossess it. A lot of people say they own the Lexus, but when they missed that third payment, that dude that pull up with that truck that said, got you. When it said, got you on the side, you find out you ain't own that Lexus. You find out the person who has the ultimate title owns that Lexus. I know you got a piece of paper in your closet that say you own the Lexus. But if you keep looking down, it's going to say secondary. Somebody else got the first lien holder place. That is who own that. So I know you might have a little piece of paper that say you own whatever property you own. Keep looking. There's another name on there. All this is his. He can repossess it at any time he gets good and damn ready. So don't do what you're supposed to do with it, and he'll repossess it. Go ahead.
And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it. And the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. And they said one to another, who has done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of YAH, has done this thing.
He did it at night, but everybody know he did it.
Then the men of the city said unto YAH, bring out your son, that he may die, because he has cast down the altar of Baal, and because he has cut down the grove that was by it.
Now you see how these are connected though, right? Mm-hmm. You see how they have Baal or Lord, and they got this tree too. And some of us can attest to the biggest fight we got into in our houses is the day we got rid of that Christmas tree. I implemented a whole lot of things in my house that was you know, I got. But when that tree left, hey, something different. It was something different that happened when that tree got carried out of there. Oh no, they upstairs said, wait a minute, he got knocked down our altar and he cut down that tree. Okay, go ahead.
And YAH said unto all that stood against him, will you plead for Baal? Will you save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death whilst it is yet morning. If he be a god, let him plead for himself, because one has cut down his altar. Therefore on that day he called him Yerubbaal, saying, let Baal plead against him, because he has thrown down his altar. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together, and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of Yahweh came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiezer was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him. And he sent messengers unto Asher, and unto Zebulun, and unto Naphtali, and they came up to meet him.
Now, when Yahweh has decreed the time, when you blow that horn, all of a sudden, all the people having all these things, you know, we all should get together, we should hold hands, sing kumbaya, we should come together as a people. Let me tell you something. When Yahweh says it's time, you blow one trumpet. See, all these people trying to do their things under their thought processes, under what they want to connect. When Yahweh said it's time, all right, it's time for judgment. He raises up somebody for that judgment. And when they blow that trumpet, everybody show up. See, we have to work on his time, not ours. We might get ticked off and say, hey, this is time. Now he's no, it ain't time yet. Let's go to Genesis chapter 21. Because we see that Yahweh don't like this, right? I mean, we can easily see that Yahweh went out of his way to not only knock down, you know, not deal with the false image, but make sure you cut down that grove and use the grove to set the thing on fire. What? Genesis chapter 21, and I want you to read verses 22 through 33.
And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, spake unto Abraham, saying, Elohim is with you in all that you do.
All right, where you at?
Genesis 21, verse 23 at this point.
Okay.
Now therefore swear unto me here by Elohim that you will not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's sons, but according to the kindness that I have done unto you, you shall do unto me, and to the land wherein you have sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water, which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. And Abimelech said, I know not who has done this thing, neither did you tell me, neither yet heard I of it, but today. And Abraham took sheep and oxen, and gave them unto Abimelech, and both of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what mean these 7 ewe lambs which you have set by themselves? And he said, for these 7 ewe lambs shall you take of my hand, that they may be a witness unto me that I have digged this well. Wherefore he called that place Beersheba, because there they swear both of them. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose up, and Phicol the chief captain of his host, and they returned into the land of the Philistines. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba.
He did what?
He planted a grove, and called there on the name of Yahweh.
Wait a minute, then he mixed the servitude of the Most High with the grove. I don't know why we confused and that Yahweh called you in your confusion, didn't it? But you see how Yahweh just let that slide? We don't read about him saying, all right, now, you know, the next chapter, and Yahweh grabbed Abraham by his head. but you don't read that. But he said, you know what? I know you don't know no better right now. Yahweh was still able to see his heart, even though he didn't have that level of understanding yet. Automatically, it went right to setting the grove. I mean, immediately. Because that's what they did. Now you understand. Y'all would say, hey, don't plant no grove near my altar. Don't mix that. But Abraham got away with it here. Go ahead.
You know, my brother, the problem is we all get away with stuff, but do we understand when Yahweh said, nah, it's time to fix it?
Uh-huh.
That's what we got to realize in each individual of us as we going through with certain liberties that we may have when Yahweh said, now's the time for you to fix it. We can't go looking at everybody else. No, it's time for you to fix it.
Right. See, the time of your fixing ain't got nothing to do with that person down the street. But that's the first thing we're going to say. Well, Abraham planted a grove. But I don't see why I should be able to plant a grove. No. I'm dealing with you today. When I decide to deal with Abraham, that's between me and Abraham. That ain't got nothing to do with you. Let's go to Numbers chapter 31. Because what happens here is we can get something or half of an understanding and then go off into some other things, especially when we go by word of mouth of other individuals. Numbers 31, and I want you to start that at verse 7.
And they warred against the Midianites, as Yahweh commanded Moshe, and they slew all the males. And they slew the kings of Midian, beside the rest of them that were slain, namely Evi, and Rechem, and Zur, and Hur, and Reba, 5 kings of Midian. Balaam also the son of Beor they slew with the sword. And the children of Israel took all the women of Midian captives, and their little ones, and took the spoil of all their cattle, and all their flocks, and all their goods.
All right, now this is the important part that I'm trying to get right here. Verse 9, and the children of Israel took all the women of Midian captive and their little ones, and took the spoil of all their cattle and all their flocks. All right, keep going.
And they burnt all their cities wherein they dwelt, and all their goodly castles with fire. And they took all the spoil and all the prey, both of men and of beasts. And they brought the captives and the prey and the spoil unto Moshe and Eleazar the priest, and unto the congregation of the children of Israel, unto the camp at the plains of Moab, which are by Jordan, near Jericho. And Moshe and Eleazar the priest, and all the princes of the congregation, went forth to meet them without the camp. And Moshe was angry with the officers of the host, with the captains over thousands and captains over hundreds, which came from the battle. And Moshe said unto them, have you saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel, through the counsel of Balaam, to commit trespass against Yahweh in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of Yah. Now therefore, kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that has known man by lying with him. But all the women children that have not known a man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves.
Now, this then is used, as they say, and they refer, you know, when you have that book that Talmud, where people give you all their opinions of things. This is where they then say it is okay for a grown man to be with a 12-year-old little girl. They then go back to this and say, where it says, save the young women for yourself, the little girls. All right. So then they take this. Now they're not going to deal with anything else in the Torah. Now it jumps. They take this out of the Torah and then get back to their book of opinions. Because that's all that is when you have nothing but opinions of other individuals talking. So you can take one line and then have 50 books of opinions about the one line. I want you to go to the next graphic, and I want you to read something that took place in concerning Judah and Tamar. This
Genesis-
is 31 and 11.
Then said Yehudah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain with her at your father's house till Shelah my son be grown.
All right, why he just go ahead and give him over? What was Shelah? Now, we don't know the age when it comes down to that, but there was a waiting period that she had to wait for that next child to be grown. Go ahead.
For he said, least peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house.
All right. Now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 21. See, since we here, we need to go ahead and deal with this before we move on. Because you can easily go back and see Abraham planted a grove, and then you think it's okay for you to go and put your Christmas tree up, and then you can't figure out why you're having issues. Deuteronomy chapter 21, and let's read verses 10 through 14.
When you goeth forth to war against your enemies, and Yahweh Elohim has delivered them into your hands, and you have taken them captive, and seized among the captives a beautiful woman.
Not a beautiful little girl. He didn't say, you pulled up on her, man, she had them crayons. And boy, she was coloring right inside the line. That ain't what he said. That ain't what he said. He said a woman. Go ahead.
And has a desire unto her, that you would have her to your wife. Then you shall bring her home to your house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails. And she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her.
Wait a minute. What does shaving her head mean? The glory of who?
Of her previous husband.
Previous husband. But what does the shaving of the head, period, mean? Accomplishing of a vow. The vow between the previous husband has been accomplished. That's what the shaving of the head was. See, it's imperative that we read some things and understand, because a lot of times we do stuff and we don't even know what we're doing. Like if the Gentiles understood what circumcision meant, why would you get one? It wasn't given unto you. Now you keep arguing about the law. You the one when it got circumcised. Go ahead.
And shall remain in your house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month.
All right, why a full month?
Make sure she ain't pregnant.
There it is. Hey, we got to see some. Hey, look, I said, look at him. Because last thing you need to do is bring forth a child of the enemy. Go ahead.
And after that you shall go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. And it shall be, if you have no delight in her, then you shall let her go whither she will, but you shall not sell her at all for money. You shall not make merchandise of her, because you have humbled her.
Once you have humbled her, you are held by a certain set of rules, because you done crossed that line. See, we think we can cross the line and still do something. No. Once you cross that line, you have to abide by a certain set of rules. So there's a lot that's happening in these few lines that will obviously, if someone mentions to you the reading before of Numbers 31, where they can be with a child, then they jump out of the book. The rest of the discussion is had in the mud. They only let one scripture come out of the Torah. The rest of the discussion went into the mud. No. Let me, I'm going to have my discussion from this book. I'm not going to talk out that other one. I don't deal with that one right there. Matter of fact, they don't want you to know what it say anyway. It's forbidden for you to even know. So they mad at the people who put it out there. Now let's go to Numbers 21. Numbers 21, and we're going to read verses 4 through 9.
Verse 4. And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spake against Elohim and against Moshe. Wherefore have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loathes this light bread.
Our soul loathe this light bread. Man, don't nobody like this Wonder Bread y'all got us out here. But this is Israel. They journeyed and the way didn't automatically become prosperous unto them. So they spake evil against Yahweh and his servant. Go ahead.
And Yahweh sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. Therefore the people came to Moshe and said, We've sinned, for we've spoken against Yahweh and against you. Pray unto Yahweh that he take away the serpents from us.
Now, Yahweh is showing them what they are. Out of all of the things, you have to look at what his punishment is. They spoke against Yahweh and Moshe, and he sent serpents to bite them. A serpent fights with his mouth. He said, that's what you're doing. So he sent them snakes. Go ahead.
And Moshe prayed for the people. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Make you a fiery serpent, and set it up on a pole. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he looks upon it, shall live.
Now, what was the purpose of making the serpent on the pole and making them look at it?
Looking at yourself.
The serpent on the pole was a mirror. I need you to see that snake. No, this snake. That snake. The snake. I need you to see. That's you. You see them fangs? You see that stuff coming out your mouth? That's you. When that thing bites, it spits out poison. I need you to see that that's what's coming out of your mouth. So when you have spoken against the order that Yahweh has set forth, I need you to understand that that's you. So look at that snake. That's you. I'm not going to heal you until you recognize you. Go ahead.
And Moshe made a serpent of brass and put it up on a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived.
Right. When he looked at himself. Judge yourself, that you be not judged. I go to the next graphic, and I want you to read that.
Psalms 140 and verse 3. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent.
They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. This automatically lets you know that he made a correlation between the way they spoke and a serpent. Go ahead.
Adder's poison is under their lips.
And he went directly to poison being under their lips. So all conversations ain't the same. Interesting. Now let's go to 2 Kings chapter 18. It's very strange that Yahweh would even make that. And he decreed that it be built. 2 Kings 18, and let's read verses 1 through 4.
Now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah the son of Ahaz, king of Yehudah, began to reign. 25 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Abiah, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that Dawid his father did. He removed the high places, and brake the images, and cut down the groves, and brake in pieces the brazen serpent that Moshe had made.
Break in pieces the brazen serpent that Moshe had made. Now, Moshe made it because he was told to make it. Go ahead.
For unto those days the children of Israel did burn incense to it.
That's what it turned into to Israel. It was not created originally as an idolized image, but that's what it became. He designed it so that they would see themselves. What they do? Start worshiping it. They bring an incense to the serpent. Now today, anytime you want to deal with healing, you're going to run into that serpent on that pole. He only made it for them to see themselves. They think it's medicine. Because what? They got healed, right? Okay. So to this day, if you got to call the ambulance, look on the side. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 23. But what we understand and what we have to get out of that is it doesn't matter what the purpose that something was formed. It matters what it ends up being used for. It was not designed to be an idolized image, but it became one, and it had to get knocked down. Ezekiel 23, and let's start that at verse 1.
The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There their breasts were pressed, and there they bruised the teats of their virginity. And the name of them were Aholah the elder, and Aholibah her sister. And they were mine, and they bare sons and daughters. Thus were their names: Samaria is Aholah, and Jerusalem is Aholibah.
Right, our northern and southern kingdom. Yahweh saying both of these are mine. Go ahead.
And Aholah played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, on the Assyrians, her neighbors, which were clothed with blue, captains and rulers, all of them desirable young men, horsemen riding upon horses. Thus she committed her whoredoms with them, with all them that were the chosen men of Assyria, and with all on whom she doted, with all their idols she defiled herself. Neither left she her whoredoms brought from Egypt, for in her youth they lay with her.
So she, even though Yahweh redeems the children of Israel out of Egypt, we still couldn't get rid of them calves. Still couldn't get rid of those Egyptian idols, because we had grown to have some kind of love for them. So even being redeemed from Egypt, that love of those idols still stayed among us. Go ahead.
And they bruised the breast of her virginity, and poured their whoredom upon her. Wherefore I have delivered her into the hand of her lovers, into the hand of the Assyrians, upon whom she doted.
And this is the thing that we don't really understand. The people who proclaiming that they love you don't love you. And you're going to find out when he puts you in the hands of those people and watch what they do to you. Because, see, we don't understand what love is. We think that when somebody says something that is abrasive unto us, we said that person must don't love me. So who we think love us? The people who sit there and agree with us all day. So when the persons come up and say, hey, man, that wasn't right, that's wrong. You know, they hate me. What the guy said, is there a prophet of Yahweh in this place? Yeah, but he never says anything good concerning me. I hate him. Go ahead.
These discovered her nakedness. They took her sons and her daughters and slew her with the sword. And she became famous among women, for they had executed judgment upon her.
But these are the things that she was attracted to. So the things that she's attracted to are the things that brought forth her judgment. Go ahead.
And when her sister Aholibah saw this, she was more corrupt in her inordinate love than she, and in her whoredoms more than her sister in her whoredoms.
So watching it didn't slow her down. Like, okay, you've seen what happened to your sister. Why would you go down the same road? Go ahead.
She doted upon the Assyrians, her neighbors, captains and rulers clothed most gorgeously, horsemen riding upon horses, all of them desirable young men. Then I saw that she was defiled, that they took both one way, and that she increased her whoredoms. For when she saw men portrayed upon the wall, the images of the Chaldeans portrayed with vermilion.
Wait a minute. These images. And she increased her whoredom. For when she saw men portrayed upon the wall. See, we don't understand that those images are meant for a purpose. When you look at when they so-called overthrew, they cousin Saddam, and you watch how many of those statues that they had to pull down, he had the images of himself everywhere. See, when the West sets somebody up, they never want that person to go out and do their own thing. They're like, all right, we set you up to do what we want you to do. But it has not worked in that so-called Middle East, because everybody that they put in there eventually go for themselves. As with these people who they telling everybody is the holy people. Them people ain't listening to them no more. Them people now telling them what to do. Y'all put us here and we're going to tell you what to do. Now they are subject unto their own creation. Go ahead.
Girded with girdles upon their loins, exceeding and dyed attire upon their heads, all of them princes to look to, after the manner of the Babylonians of Chaldea, the land of their nativity. And as soon as she saw them with her eyes, she doted upon them, and sent messengers unto them into Chaldea. And the Babylonians came to her into the bed of love, and they defiled her with their whoredom, and she was polluted with them, and her mind was alienated from them.
Her mind was alienated, all when she saw those images. See, there's a reason why it is pushed for us to stay on these phones all day. We constantly seeing images, and we don't know what's happening. You're either getting desensitized to something, or you're growing to love something. There are times that I first heard a song and I said, man, I hate that song. A month later, the song that I hate, I'm walking through the house. Wait a minute. I hate that song. What happened? They done played it so much that the song has gotten stuck in my head. I changed the station. That station playing the song. I changed that station playing the song. I changed it again. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna listen to a rock station. After about 8 rock songs, that song come back on. Who the hell put it over here? Right. There's indoctrination that's pushed in that so-called education. Go ahead.
So she discovered her whoredoms and discovered her nakedness. Then my mind was alienated from her, like as my mind was alienated from her sister. Yet she multiplied her whoredoms, in calling to remembrance the days of her youth, wherein she had played the harlot in the land of Egypt. For she doted upon their paramours, whose flesh is as the flesh of asses, and whose issue is like the issue of horses. Doth you call it to remembrance the lewdness of your youth, in bruising your teats by the Egyptians for the paps of your youth. Therefore, O Aholibah, thus says Yahweh Elohim, behold, I'll raise up your lovers against you, from whom your mind is alienated, and I'll bring them against you on every side. The Babylonians and the Chaldeans, Pekod and Shoah and Koah, and all the Assyrians with them, all of them desirable young men, captains and rulers, great masters and renowned, all of them riding upon horses. And they shall come against you with chariots, wagons, and wheels, and with an assembly of people, which shall set against you buckler and shield and helmet round about. And I'll set judgment up before them, and they shall judge you according to their judgments.
Right. So you alienate yourself from Yahweh to deal with them. So then Yahweh makes them your judges. The very ones you've gone all out the way for. He gonna put the switch in their hand. Now imagine that for a heartbreak. You have left Yahweh to deal with these other people, and the very people who you went to deal with are the ones that he uses to punish you. Go ahead.
And I'll set my jealousy against you, and they shall deal ferociously with you. They shall take away your nose and your ears, and your remnant shall fall by the sword. They shall take your sons and your daughters, and your residue shall be devoured by the fire. They shall also strip you out of your clothes, and take away your fair jewels. Thus will I make your lewdness to cease from you.
Right. Now, one of the things they always tell you when it comes down to slavery, when people want to be told that they did you a favor, well, you know, we found y'all naked in Africa, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, slavery was actually, you know, a step up for y'all. See, we gave y'all some rags to put on. See, you didn't even have no rags to cover your black stuff. Right. Go ahead.
And your whoredom brought from the land of Egypt, so that you shall not lift up your eyes unto them, nor remember Egypt any more. For thus says the Adonai YAH, behold, I'll deliver you into the hand of them whom you hated, into the hand of them from whom your mind is alienated. And they shall deal with you hatefully, and shall take away all your labor, and shall leave you naked and bare. And the nakedness of your whoredoms shall be discovered, both your lewdness and your whoredoms.
Right. Yahweh said, this is what you've done to me spiritually, so this is what I'm going to give to you naturally. Go ahead.
You know, when you look at the top up here, when he says, and I'll take away your nose and your ears, then it jumps down and says, so that you shall not lift up your eyes onto them nor remember Egypt anymore. What was the whole thing of shooting the noses off the Finks? So we can't compare ourselves to being them people.
Hey, brother, let me tell you something. When them folks get ready to take away something, they go all out, Jack. They go all out. They say, I need to make sure, because with the rest of those things on there, you can still say that's anybody. But if you leave them knuckle noses on there, then you say, no, I know that's a knuckle right there. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but that's a knuckle right there. See, so they needed to take those noses if they were going to present them as somebody else. And you have to ask, why didn't you shoot anything else? Why just the nose? Why just the nose? Shoot the lips, maybe the eyes. Why didn't you care about any of the rest of it? This is what you call a conquering people who are thinking down the road after they've conquered. Go ahead.
Verse 30, I'll do these things unto you because you have gone a whoring after the heathen, and because you are polluted with their idols.
With their idols. See, I'm doing this because you are polluted with their idols. Go ahead.
You have walked in the way of your sister. Therefore will I give her cup into your hand. Thus says the Adonai YAH, you shall drink of your sister's cup deep and large. You shall be laughed to scorn and had in derision. It containeth much. You shall be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, with the cup of astonishment and desolation, with the cup of your sister Samaria. You shall even drink it and suck it out, and you shall break the sherds thereof, and pluck off your own breast, for I have spoken it, says the Adonai YAH. Therefore, thus says the Adonai YAH, because you have forgotten me and cast me behind your back, therefore bear you also your lewdness and your whoredoms. Yahweh said moreover unto me, Son of man, will you judge Aholah and Aholibah? Yea, declare unto them their abominations.
Now, as we're going through all of this, and of course, you know, these are very aggressive things that are being said unto Israel, there's a man who has to say all this. And don't think all these people just sitting here happy about all the words that are being said. Yahweh gives you a job and your life may hang in the balance every day. Because you don't know how somebody's going to take correction. Go ahead.
That they have committed adultery, and blood is in their hands. And with their idols have they committed adultery, and have also caused their sons, whom they bear unto me, to pass for them through the fire to devour them. Moreover, this they have done unto me. They have defiled my sanctuary in the same day, and have profaned my Sabbaths. For when they had slain their children to their idols, then they came the same day into my sanctuary to profane it. And lo, thus have they done in the midst of mine house.
For when they had slain their children to their idols, the same day they came to his house. You didn't even let a day pass in between. Go ahead.
And furthermore, that they have sent for men to come from far, unto whom a messenger was sent. And lo, they came, for whom you did wash yourself, painted your eyes, and decked yourself with ornaments.
If you painted your eyes, you put on all your makeup. Oh, you went and got pretty for them. But this is activating Yahweh's jealousy. Oh, you did all that for them? Go ahead.
And satteth upon a stately bed, and a table prepared before it, whereupon you have set mine incense and mine oil.
Right. Then Israel turn around and start burning incense unto the serpent. Go ahead.
And a voice of a multitude being at ease was with her. And with the men of the common sort were brought Sabaeans from the wilderness, which put bracelets upon their hands and beautiful crowns upon their heads. Then said I unto her that was old in adulteries, will they now commit whoredoms with her, and she with them? Yet they went in unto her, as they go in unto a woman that plays the harlot. So went they in unto Aholah and unto Aholibah, the lewd women. And the righteous men.
And you have to look at this the in the spiritual fashion that Yahweh is looking at it. Whose God won't we serve? Bring something into our neighborhood and advertise it the right way, and there it is, we gone. They say, all right, y'all, this week, St. Patrick's Day. All of them bought every bit of green we could find. We don't know a damn thing about Patrick. We don't know a damn thing about that leprechaun. We don't know nothing about nothing. But I tell you what, we in all green, though. What God won't we serve? Lewd women. Just make it fun. We'll jump in. Go ahead.
And the righteous men, they shall judge them after the manner of adulteresses, and after the manner of women that shed blood, because they are adulteresses, and blood is in their hands. For thus says the Adonai YAH, I'll bring up a company upon them, and will give them to be removed and spoiled. And the company shall stone them with stones, and dispatch them with their swords. They shall slay their sons and their daughters, and burn up their houses with fire. Thus will I cause lewdness to cease out of the land, that all women may be taught not to do after your lewdness. And they shall recompense your lewdness upon you, and you shall bear the sins of your idols, and you shall know that I am the Adonai Yahweh.
That is a hard lesson to learn, to figure out that he is Yahweh when he has done all of that. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 14. Ezekiel 14, and let's read verses 1 through 9.
Verse 1. Then came certain of the elders of Israel unto me, and sat before me. And the word of Yahweh came on to me, saying, Son of man, these men have set up their idols in their heart, and put the stumbling block of their lawlessness before their face. Should I be inquired of at all by them? Therefore speak unto them, and say unto them, Thus says the Adonai YAH, every man of the house of Israel that sets up his idols in his heart, and puts the stumbling block of his lawlessness before his face, and comes to the prophet, I, Yahweh, will answer him that comes according to the multitude of his idols.
Wait a minute. His answer is going to be based on his idol worship. So there's some people that said, you know, God told me to do that. And he might have. Because he answered you according to those idols that you deal with. Go ahead.
That I may take the house of Israel in their own heart, because they are all estranged from me through their idols. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus says the Adonai YAH, repent and turn yourselves from your idols, and turn away your faces from all your abominations. For every one of the house of Israel, or of the stranger that sojourns in Israel, which separates himself from me, and sets up his idols in his heart, and puts the stumbling block of his lawlessness before his face, and comes to a prophet to inquire of him concerning me, I, Yahweh, will answer him by myself. And I'll set my face against that man, and will make him a sign and a proverb, and I'll cut him off from the midst of my people, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. And if the prophet be deceived when he has spoken a thing, I, Yahweh, have deceived that prophet, and I'll stretch out my hand upon him, and will destroy him from the midst of my people Israel.
All right. Now, when we consider that an idol does not have to be a physical item, the playing field opens tremendously. An idol could be a person, place, or thing that only resides in the mind of the idolizer. For this to happen, the idol must find an opening that it may use to enter in. The senses of man provide entryways into the soul. Our senses of hearing, seeing, tasting, and smelling causes us to be attracted to the items we encounter. So if the adversary desires entry, he will most likely use one of these vehicles. Knowing what the adversary may use still does not tell you how he will use it. Sometimes the adversary may need to remove your love for something else so it can replace it with the desire of his choosing. I want you to read Leviticus 19 and verse 30.
You shall keep my Shabbats and reverence my sanctuary. I am Yahweh.
All right, so now read the definition of reverence for me.
From H3372. Yar, to fear, be afraid, to stand in awe of, be awed, honor, respect.
So Yahweh says you shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. To have reverence means that you stand in awe of something. If you have a certain amount of fear, then you respect it. Okay, so now let's go to Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 7.
And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made Yahweh Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
All right, so all of these things are there. Now, if we go back to what we read in Leviticus, you shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. Understand something. This is man's first sanctuary. Man already had paradise. He was born in it. Go ahead.
And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. The name of the first is Pison. That is it which compasses the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good, and there is bdellium and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compassed the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel. That is it which goes toward the east of Assyria. And the fourth river is Euphrates. And Yahweh Elohim took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and keep it.
So, a man has a job in the sanctuary. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man,
Wait a
saying,
minute. The man got commandments. There are commandments in the sanctuary. Go ahead.
Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it, for in the day that you eat it thereof you shall surely die.
All right, so now there are commandments, there are instructions that are given in the earthly sanctuary that was given upon man at his creation. Go to chapter 3 and start at verse 1.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made.
All right, so subtle means slick. This one is cunning. Go ahead.
And he said unto the woman, Yea, has Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, You shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die.
Now, a different objective is being pushed at this point. Now, this may just seem like information at this point. You shall not surely die. Now, the bringer of this information wants to be worshipped as an idol. But to do that, they need to remove your reverence of something else. So some different kind of information has to then come. You will not surely die. See, so what Yahweh telling you, he not really telling you everything. Go ahead.
For Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
So this seems like just information that one has pulled you to the side and have given you some information. But there's a motive. Let's go to Matthew chapter 4. Sometimes you may wonder, why does this person want to share all this good knowledge with me right now? Matthew chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 11.
Then was Yahshua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If you be the son of Elohim, command that these stones be made bread.
Now, wait a minute. If you be the son of Elohim, what was that first man that he pulled out of the dirt?
Son of Elohim.
Okay. So he has a tendency to want to test the sons. He's got something he wants to be idolized. So that beginning question or that beginning statement wasn't just information that he was given. Now we're about to find out the reason for the information. See, sometimes you got to wait long enough to realize why something was said to you. Keep going.
But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Elohim. And then the devil takes him up into the holy city and sets him on a pinnacle of the temple and says unto him, If you be the son of Elohim, cast yourself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest at any time you dash your foot against a stone. Yahshua said unto him, It is written again, You shall not tempt the Adonai your Elohim. Again the devil takes him up into an exceeding high mountain and shows him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and says unto him, All these things will I give you, if you will fall down and worship me.
Now, this is the same thing he wanted in the garden. He just didn't say it. See, you will not surely die. That was the beginning. This is the end. This is what he wanted. So sometimes when you hear that little smooth conversation, this is what it wants. It wanted to be idolized in the beginning of the conversation. You won't surely die. But for it to be an idol in your heart, it's got to pull out your reverence for Elohim that is in your heart so that he can take its place. You got a spot there. He ain't got to make the spot. I just need to remove who's there. That's his thought process. So he comes with that, but here is where he want to be. Just fall down and worship me. Idolize me. Right. Go ahead.
Then says Yahshua unto him, Get you hence, Satan, for it is written, You shall worship the Adonai your Elohim, and him only shall you serve. Then the devil leaves him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him.
All right, let's go to Matthew chapter 6. And start at verse 19.
Verse 19, Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust does corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust does corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
Now, that's something pretty heavy. Where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. Because even if you're somewhere else physically, your mind is still counting your treasures. Go ahead.
The light of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light. But if your eye be evil, your whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you be darkness, how great is that darkness? No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other.
All right. So first he's got to introduce himself to get in your heart. Once he does that, there's going to be a fight between which one of them you're going to serve. But he doesn't tell you that before you open the door. See, he acts like he's just bringing information that Yahweh didn't give you. But he's saying that so he can get in. Once he gets in, now there's a fight. There's a fight for who you going to listen to. Go ahead.
Or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Elohim and Mammon. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body, what you shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much better than they? Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit onto his stature? And why take you thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you, that even Slomo in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if Elohim so clothe the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? Therefore take no thought, saying, What shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or wherewithal shall we be clothed?
Why would he say that? Because the adversary going to come at you and say, hey, you're not focusing on these things enough. Because he needs to get you off of something else. Go ahead.
For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knows what you have need of. For your heavenly Father knows that you have need of all these things. But seek you first the kingdom of Elohim.
It bothers the adversary when you seek first the things of the kingdom. So he needs to rearrange your thought process. But all he's trying to do is get in. Now, once he get in, then he going to wreak havoc. But he's got to get in first. So he's got to try to get you to rearrange. Look, if you just stayed at home a little bit more and spent time at the house, you're going to find out no matter how long you stay at the house, ain't none of that taken care of. You still get the same arguments you had before. But you know what you don't have? You ain't got nothing together at Yahweh house. Well, he got you. Because now he got you to spend all your time on you. And he just used that so he can get in. Keep reading.
And his righteousness, and all these things shall be added on to you.
Uh-huh.
Take therefore no thought for tomorrow, for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof.
All right. So verse 33, but seek you first the kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Now, understanding that, let's go to 1 Kings chapter 12. See, sometimes to understand the adversary, you have to watch how he has operated before. 1 Kings chapter 12, and let's start that at verse 25.
Then Jeroboam built Shechem and Mount Ephraim.
Now,
And-
we have a division in the kingdom. Because of the things that King Shlomo has done, there is a separation in the kingdom because of that. Now, his child has to deal with the deeds that he has done. So now this separating of the kingdom is now being brought forth. But people have their own insecurities about the separation of this kingdom. Go ahead.
Then Jeroboam built Shechem and Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David.
Uh-huh.
If this people go up to sacrifice in the house of Yahweh at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Adonai, or their master, even unto Rehoboam, king of Yehudah. And they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam, king of Yehudah.
Right. He says, I can't let them go up and do righteous worship, because they're gonna have a problem. If they leave here and go in the worship place is there. So a rival house has to be built. You have to watch how he operates. He says, if they go and connect there, I'm going to have a problem. Now, when the people was about to go up to wage war, it was Yahweh that said, no, this is of me. Don't go over there trying to bring them back. But this individual don't know that. He's worried that something is going to happen. So he constructs a rival house to Yahweh's. Go ahead.
Whereupon the king took counsel, and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem.
Oh, it's too much. You know, I'm doing this for you. I'm trying to care about you. See, if it were me, this is how I do it. This just too much. Well, I got a house right. Look here. Right here. Don't go up there. Right. I'm doing this for you. Go ahead.
You know, it says he took counsel with who?
Right. Right. Go ahead.
Behold your gods, O Israel, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan.
Uh-huh.
And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan.
Uh-huh.
And he made a house of high places, and made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not of the sons of Levi.
Right. This is why Levi eventually left and went and joined with Judah. But this rival house had to be made because He was worried that they would reconnect to their God when it was time to keep those holy days. So when you read and he says, hey, don't go into the Samaritans. Wait, they got their own setup, completely set up from his priest. Completely and utterly separate. It has nothing to do with it. Yahshua said, don't go deal with them. You ain't ready for them yet. That's gonna be some dealing, Jack, to deal with them. Go ahead.
And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month, on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Yehuda. And he offered upon the altar, so did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto the calves that he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priest of the high places, which he had made. So he offered upon the altar which he had made in Bethel, the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Israel, and he offered upon the altar and burned incense.
And he offered upon the altar and burned incense. Now, the adversary gets angry when we seek the things of the kingdom. The one who wants to be an idol in your heart has to convince you that you are putting too much towards the kingdom. Let's go to John chapter 12. He's got to create a space for himself. You can't just sit somewhere where there ain't no space. So you got to make space, then you sit down. Yohanan chapter 12, and let's read verses 1 through 8.
Then Yahshua 6 days before the Passover came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. Then took Miriam a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Yahshua, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. Then says one of his disciples, Yehudas Iscariot, Simeon's son, which should betray him, why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor?
See, if it was me, I wouldn't have done that. So now we have that he gonna down her work because he needs to be received as an idol at this point. So he needs to down this so he can get in this space. You have to understand how the idol is going to work to try to make a place in your heart. Keep reading.
This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief and had the bag and bare what was put therein.
Right, but he disguised that as he was caring about the poor. It was a disguise, but at the same time, he put down her work. Why are you doing so much work for the kingdom? That was very costly. I can't believe you would do that. This should have been given to the poor. You're wasting this. That was not his real objective. Once he got it in the bag, he was going to take it out the bag. Go ahead.
See, he even know how much it costs, right?
Yes. Oh, nobody knows the value more than a thief. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Then said Yahshua.
Now, Yahshua got to step in now. Go ahead.
Let her alone. Against the day of my burying has she kept this.
Now,
But
he know why it's being said. Go ahead.
for the poor always you have with you, but me you have not always.
Right. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14. See, when you put these things back to back, you understand that conversation in the garden was always meant to make room for himself. It was never a situation of, I'm just giving you information because I care about you. I'm doing this for you. It was never that. It was always, I need to find a spot Isaiah chapter 14, and let's start that at verse 10.
All they shall speak and say unto you, are you also become weak as we? Are you become like unto us?
Uh-huh.
Your pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your vials. The worm is spread under you, and the worms cover you. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I'll exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
The same thing was in his mind when he said, you shall not surely die. He didn't just get here. He was always there. But it was a process to make himself an idol in your heart. But first, he got to make room. So that means he's got to remove your love for something else, so he can put the love of himself in its place. So everybody can stand up at this point and say, oh yeah, he's foul. Did you recognize he was foul if he came with a very soft voice and said, you know, you won't surely die. I'm just doing this for you. Go ahead.
But you know, what the thing that he threw behind it, Elohim already know that, you know, once you do this, you're going to be God. So you're going to be a rival to him, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why he don't want you to do it.
Right. He's recruiting at the same time. See, he needs to find a place in your heart, and if you let him in, you're going to be on his team. You don't even know he got a team. But he recruiting for it. Go ahead.
I'll ascend above the heights of the clouds. I'll be like the Most High.
I will be like the Most High. So he want to be most high-ish.
Yahweh-ish.
Right. Go ahead.
Yet you shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see you shall narrowly look upon you and consider you, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house. But you are cast out of your grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet.
Now you have to see the anger. It says everyone lies in peace in his own house, but you have been cast out. Wait a minute. Now you talk about your anger. So everybody else in their house, but this individual done lost his. Now you got some serious anger. He said, oh, no. Somebody got to pay for this. Somebody got to pay for this. Go ahead.
You shall not be joined with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land and slain your people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the lawlessness of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, says Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, says Yahweh. I will also make it a possession for the bittern and pools of water, and I'll sweep it with the besom of destruction, says Yahweh of hosts.
I will sweep it with the besom of destruction. Now, your adversary would like to be presented as an idol in your heart. But to do that, they need to remove your love for something or somebody else. The only reason your hater is because you won't love them. If you would just stop progressing, stop growing, stop becoming better, and accept their will for your life, then they wouldn't hate you so much. We must understand that if your adversary can convince you, he gets a piece of Yahweh. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1 so that we can understand what that means. Genesis 1, and I want you to read verse 26 through 30.
And Elohim said, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth.
All right. So the adversary, and you have to understand it's your adversary. A lot of times when we say the adversary, all you're going to do in your mind is picture the devil. When you start to say your adversary, you understand that he will use anything. So the individual standing who may have on the same type of head covering that you have on is your adversary, thus being the adversary, because that's the one that Satan is using right now. It does not matter who he used last week. It matters who he's using right now, who's in front of you. That is your adversary. But if you focus on individuals, you're going to have a problem, because that adversary can move from one person to another person. Now you have indignation against this person, but the spirit is over there. Now you're walking around carrying all this indignation against this individual, and you don't see him right there. Because you have focused on the adversary and not your adversary. Go ahead, brother.
So Elohim created man in his own image.
Uh-huh.
In the image of El created he him, male and female created he them.
So if he can get you, then he now has a piece of Yahweh. No, you're a pawn in a game that they ain't even got nothing to do with you per se. See, if you play the game of chess, he's got to get the queen, but he really want the king. Amen. But he can use the king, the queen, to weaken the king and thus kill the king. But his object is not to get the queen. The whole part of Slow-Mo brother saying, give me Abishag to wife. He needed something that belonged to the king, so he can still later on establish himself as a king later on. He needs something that belongs to Yahweh. You were made in Yahweh's image. He needs you for his war against Yahweh. He don't really need you. He don't really like you. Mm-hmm. He's just using you for the indignation that he has against your father. Go ahead.
You know, brother, when you even look at the creation, we know he's there from the beginning. And we can look at the different creations in heaven. You got a covering cherub, which he was, and you can they describe the wings and everything.
Uh-huh.
And we can get description of beast up in heaven.
Uh-huh.
And then I've sit here and watched all these things that you've created, the animals and everything else. And then you created this thing to look just like you?
Right. Why you didn't make me like that? Why you didn't make me to look just like you? You know what? Why you give me these old stupid wings? You ain't got none. What? I'm gonna kill that. I'm gonna kill that. You better believe that. That's gonna die. You gonna make all these things. Then you made that? Now, imagine the disdain. I'm more powerful than that. Mm-hmm. Look at all the power I have. And you made this in your image? Go ahead.
I'm more powerful than it, but it has your protection.
Right.
So with all the power I got, I still can't really touch it.
There you go. Unless I can convince it to step outside the hedge you created. If I can convince it to step outside, then it no longer has your protection. Not because you decided not to protect it, but because it stepped outside of the protection zone. Then it becomes fair game. So all I need to do is talk to it and see if it will give me a place in its heart. And if it does, that will be the beginning of its destruction. Go ahead.
I don't mean to hold this
Go on,
up,
bro.
but
Go ahead, bro.
You know, that's what we got to understand, the hedge of protection. When a police officer comes to your house, as long as you stay inside your house behind the door, that's your protection. You can tell him get off your property. He ain't supposed to be there. The minute you step your behind outside the house and he grab you, you fair game. You walked out the hedge of protection.
But, you know, they always hope that we don't understand any of those things, you know. And we keep agreeing to things after the rights are read. Do you understand? Nope. You got a right to remain silent. Anything you say you can and will. Do you understand? Nope. What's the problem? You don't understand what it? Nope. I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand legal jargon. I need my lawyer here. Because I don't know if what you're saying is what you're really saying. I don't understand. Because, see, the game they playing is when you say you understand, that means you agree. Nah, I don't agree. Matter of fact, just say that. Nah, I don't agree. And watch how crazy they look at you. What do you mean you don't agree? I don't agree. I don't agree that those are the only rights that I have. I do not agree. The adversary has always played a different game than the game that he lets us in on. And you know everybody laughing at you, man, when you say draw 2 in a poker game. This cat really don't understand the game that's being played right here. He really think they're Uno. But they're going to let you keep playing. Because they know they're going to win. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12. See, the adversary needed to remove the reverence of Yahweh. See, he didn't even give you all the information. See, you over here reverencing him. And if he really cared about you, he would have told you that you would have been like a god if you'd ate that tree. Now what? Now why he keep that from you? You think he love you? I love you. Come over here. Just bow down and worship me. Right. He needs to present himself as an idol in your heart. Because once you have him at idol status, there's nothing you won't do for him. Revelation chapter 12, and let's start at verse 1.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Israel. Go ahead.
And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth.
All right. So the adversary, the devil, is taking a 1/3 of the angels with him. So he's recruiting from Yahweh's house. So he's walking around Yahweh's house. Take, you shall not surely die. And he turned that around to whatever situation it fit all over Yahweh's house. If I was you, I wouldn't do that. You would not surely die. Hey, if it was me, hey, look. What did he use to gather all of these angels? Go ahead.
You know, as you're saying, he's taken a 1/3 part of Yahweh's angels. 2/3 of Israel are going to get cut off. That means only what's left. A 1/3. Replacement. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. and her child was caught up onto Elohim and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of Elohim, that he should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world.
All right, he deceives the world because he has indignation with the world, because it's the part of Yahweh's creation that he hates. He was so close to the throne, he believed he should have been sitting on it. So he has indignation here. Now he loses access to the heaven, and now he has a problem. He is exceptionally angry. Go ahead.
He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Right. So now he done got kicked out of his house. Oh, he angry now. So he was fine being able to come and go. But now he has completely lost access to it. Somebody gonna have to pay for this. Go ahead.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of his anointed one. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down.
The accuser. The accuser of our brethren. Go ahead.
Which accused them before our Elohim day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down onto you, having great anger, because he knows that he has but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast onto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
So now he persecutes the woman. The man is angry with the woman. The woman ain't did nothing to him. But he takes out his aggression on the woman. What has she done? She connected to the daddy. So the anger that he has with Yahweh, he takes it out on the woman. Go ahead.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly in the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent.
So she got to go hide from the serpent. The serpent that presented himself as her friend in the beginning. Hey, no, come over here and talk to me. Look, you won't surely die. Now she hiding from him. Go ahead.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman.
The earth helped the woman, not Yahweh helped the woman. The earth. The earth said, wait a minute, I know them. Wait a minute. We've been waiting for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. They are the ones that came forth out of us. Help them. Help them. People gonna help you that don't even know why they're helping you. They ain't gonna even understand. I don't know why I was just standing out here and I don't know what I was waiting for, and then you came by in distress. Normally I'd be in there watching TV. But something told me just come out here and just sit out here. Right. Yahweh already got your help. Go ahead.
And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was angry with the woman.
The dragon is angry with the woman. The serpent is angry with the woman. But it's not really the woman that he has a problem with. But the woman must bear the indignation that the serpent has against her father. Go ahead.
And went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony of Yahshua HaMashiach.
Right. So then this dragon, when he cannot present himself as an idol in your heart, after he has tried everything to convince you to join his team, when he realizes that you will not, he will wage war against you. Now, to some people, that frightens them to go back on Lucifer's team, because they say, okay, it would be more peaceful to me because he stops warring with me. But he only stops warring with you for a time. Because eventually, if you choose his side, then you're going to have to war with Yahweh. And I can tell you, you're in a lose-lose situation when that comes about. So it's better off that we take the aggression of the adversary than peace from the adversary now and have to be one of those who are going to war with Yahshua when he returns. Let us keep those things into consideration, lest we, in the midnight hour, want to seek to comfort ourselves, and we run away from those things that are actually earning us our stripes. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.